So I just received my KL 4K release of Brian De Palma's Snake Eyes. Gotta say, I'm a little disappointed that there's no special behind the scenes feature on this disc, but there is an interesting commentary from a couple of film experts. But honestly, it's all about the film, which has a real nice 4K transfer, and of course, it's a 1998 thriller that stars Nicolas Cage, Gary Sinise, and Carla Gugino. Set mostly one night in a casino hotel, it's part political thriller, part detective story, and part morality play. De Palma and David Koepp wrote the story, and of course, it has many of those trademark De Palma touches. It's got POV shots, split diopters, overhead shots, and long tracking shots. In fact, the opening scene is very famous for having a tracking shot that follows the main character around through the casino. And as far as the story is concerned, obviously I don't want to give too much away, but in the middle of a heavyweight boxing match, there's a powerful politician who's murdered, and Cage plays Detective Rick Santoro, a corrupt cop who winds up investigating the murder. Gary Sinise plays Kevin Dunn, who's a military officer involved in the case, and he's an old friend of Santoro's. Carla Gugino plays a government whistleblower who holds the key to the entire mystery. There's a fun cat and mouse game that takes place throughout the film and has lots of De Palma signature set pieces, which create edge of your seat moments. And I especially love the extended sequence following a character searching through the hotel hallway for a witness. It's just vintage Brian De Palma. It's a highly entertaining film, and Nicolas Cage gives one of his most colorful performances. And there's fantastic support from Gugino and Sinise. One of the underrated aspects of the film is the screenplay. As usual in movies like this, there's always a villain speech explaining, the villain's motives for their actions, for their evil deeds. But in this case, the explanation actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, you can't excuse murder, of course, but there's reasons for what this person is doing, and they're somewhat understandable. You can almost sympathize with the character, and that's really good writing and a really good performance by that particular actor. Look, as I say, this is an excellent thriller. I will have to admit, there's a moment near the end that felt a little bit anticlimactic. And as it turns out, there was an original ending that was filmed, and you can find that footage online on YouTube, or if you watch the recent documentary De Palma, you can see some of that footage as well. And perhaps that climax would have been better, but the theatrical climax, has won me over a little bit with the passage of time. It may not be a perfect ending, but I think it's okay now. Um, Having said all that, you absolutely must stay until the end of the closing credits because De Palma leaves you with a very dark joke as the final shot of the film. In fact, that final shot may also be a bit of a commentary on one of the many prices you pay in Sin City. Of course, the film takes place in Atlantic City. So now the critics did not exactly love Snake Eyes when it came out, and for the life of me, I don't know what's wrong with them. I mean, the only explanation I can think of, for a long, long time, critics took Brian De Palma for granted, and at the time, they didn't quite get Snake Eyes. Now, like so many other De Palma films, it has gone through a reassessment over the years, and time has been more appreciative of the film. And I can't help but compare Snake Eyes to another '90s thriller that came out like a few years before, Die Hard with a Vengeance. And the reason why I compare them is both films are suspenseful and entertaining for at least two-thirds of their runtimes. Both have anticlimactic moments that one could argue don't measure up to the first two acts of those films. Yet nobody seems to take issue with the problems that Die Hard with a Vengeance has. Now, I maintain that Die Hard with a Vengeance is much worse because it's not just the climax that disappoints, but the whole third act. Die Hard with a Vengeance goes completely downhill the moment our heroes board that ship. And don't even get me started on the aspirin bottle situation and what happens to the villain at the end. Yet, when it's all said and done, Die Hard with a Vengeance was praised, while Snake Eyes was crucified. I just think that people were happy, I guess, to see John McTiernan return to the Die Hard franchise, so they were extra generous with their reviews, but meanwhile, Brian De Palma could just go straight to hell. Well, I call bullshit on that. Snake Eyes, for my money, is a way better film and a way more complete film, and history will prove that true if it hasn't already. Now, I rate Snake Eyes as basically my 12th favorite Brian De Palma film, but that's just a testament to the greatness of his filmography. I still absolutely love this movie, and I highly recommend it if you want to have a great time for about an hour and a half.